Just to the west of central London, behind this public house, lies an unexpected and tranquil oasis. Surrounded by its peaceful churchyard, St Mary's Perivale has escaped plagues, famines, wars and developers for nearly 900 years. Acquired in 1976 by a charity set up for the purpose, it has become one of the most important classical music venues in Britain. We're too small for orchestras, but our acoustic is perfect for chamber music and recitals. Until recently, we were welcoming audiences to 3 concerts each week. Of course, that's all changed now, but we're determined to continue. We've got a full programme of live stream concerts, which will continue until life returns to normal. We need to support our musicians, and we need to look after this historic and beautiful building. So enjoy the concert, and please consider donating via our website. Thank you very much. Ten seconds. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our extra concert on Friday afternoon, and we are delighted this afternoon to have a wind trio, which is very unusual for us. The Aristos wind trio comprises Jeremy and Melanie Foster, who you might gather from the name are one bubble, hence they're sitting close together, and Rosie Cow is bassoonist, who is not part of the bubble, so there's this nice protective device which protects any virus wanting to travel across the chancel. Before I go on, just a note to say on a practical level, we had problems yesterday with our YouTube channel. We always broadcast on two channels, two platforms, to cover for the possibility that one of them might play up. So if you go via our website, if the YouTube isn't working, yesterday the Vimeo worked right through, so if it plays up, please just switch over to the Vimeo channel, which should be working. Sorry about these problems where they are sent to try, but we'll get there in the end. So switch channels if there is a problem. I'm hoping there won't be today. Anyway, it gives me huge pleasure. I'll get off the stage and we're in for some charming wind music, which makes a huge change from our usual fare. And Jeremy Foster's going to be telling you all about it. So let's give them a big welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us, and children actually. We've hopefully made sure that many of our students are logging on and watching. For some, it may be the first time they've ever seen a wind trio with an oboe, clarinet and bassoon. That piece was the Serenata by Rudolf Maros. Now, many of the pieces today you may or may not have heard of the composers before. One of the beauties of wind ensembles is that we do try to bring new, fresh repertoire. Rudolf Maros was Hungarian, so his date's 1917 to 1982, so actually died relatively recently. He began as a student of Kodály, who many of you may have heard of. This was all around a very turbulent time in Hungary. So 1956 revolution was a very big moment in Hungarian history. And Maros was one of these composers who really liked to kind of delve back to classicism, much like Bartók and Kodály, really. So that piece, as you may have heard, was kind of quite classical in nature. It felt quite comfortable, but at the same time incorporated lots of really nice folk tunes. Right, now we're going to move on to something slightly more recognisable. This is a piece written by Beethoven, actually, but it does involve Mozart's very famous opera Don Giovanni and a very famous aria from it called La Ci Darem la mano. Now, at the time Beethoven was writing this, it was quite popular to write these kind of small chamber music pieces. This was actually originally written for two oboes and a cor anglais, the big brother of the oboe, and it's been very nicely arranged for this combination, or a flute instead of an oboe, but an oboe's clearly superior. So this is a moment in the opera, La Ci Darem, when the lecherous Don Giovanni tries to persuade Zelina that they should go to his castle together, and that there they should give their hands to each other, and he could say yes to him. She could say yes to him, not him. So Zelina is obviously very hesitant, and she is, after all, about to be married to someone else. So it's not the greatest offer she's ever had. So this is Mozart's La Ci Darem. Now, a little housekeeping note. You may see, we are playing in a beautiful church here. And churches, as you know, can be on the chilly side. Now, when you play a wind instrument and it's chilly, you blow hot air down the wind instrument, it produces condensation. So there is water flying about all over the place, which is one of the reasons Rosie has this very protective screen. No, I don't mean it. So very often there are notes we need to blow water out of. So if you see me blowing across my oboe or Mel blowing some water, that's what's going on, in case you're wondering. I will have to just pull through my oboe because it's full of water. So give me a moment, and then we'll play you the variations on La Ci Darem. Right, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of Mozart. Beethoven. Mozart. Right, now, this is the main piece of today's concert is new to us. We've learnt it especially for today. A piece by French composer Joseph Canteloube. His dates were 1879 to 1957. So Canteloube is really very famous for his songs of the Auvergne, and has always been associated with French folk song, particularly. He wrote an incredibly large tome of 5 volumes of French folk music. He kind of worked his way around France and found out all these folk songs that were based from particular regions, and he's used them a lot in this piece. There are 3 main movements. What I'd like to do, just to kind of give you a little more insight into the music, is we're going to stop between each movement, and I'll just chat about the following movement before we play it, just to help you through it a little bit. Rustiques, the name of this piece, was written, it was a commission from the French government, actually. First premiered in 1946, so just post-war. It was, like I said before, really inspired by his love of folk music. He wrote, as I said, loads of folk songs, all incorporated in these movements. The first movement, called the Pastoral, opens with a kind of a lovely oboe melody, which I'm clearly very pleased about. And it kind of is a bit like a shepherd pipe. You'll hear it when it comes straight away at the beginning. And there's kind of a nice drone going on in the clarinet and bassoon, which Rosie and Mel have worked hard at to really perfect that drone sound. And then the tempo quickens in the middle of the movement, and it becomes much lighter, and introduces a song from Poitou, which is a coastal region in western France. The song is called Mon père a fait bâtir maison. Now, I believe I have a pupil whose mother is a French teacher, and I can only apologize for my pronunciation. I've tried. As I said, Mon père a fait bâtir maison. So my father has a house built, which also goes on to praise the good winemaker, which is something we all appreciate. And then the music becomes a bit more subdued for another song called Qui marions-nous, Who Will Marry Us, which is a lovely tune from the Vendée, which is the region next to Poitou. And then the shepherd pipey tune returns at the end, and kind of closes with a nice pastoral reference. So this is Canteloube's, I almost forgot for a minute, Rustiques. I was about to say Reverie, which that's the name of one of the moves. So Rustiques, and we're going to play the first movement for you now. So, that was the first movement. Now, the second movement is called the Reverie. Now, this takes a long, kind of thoughtful melody introduced by our beautiful bassoonist, and has a little more animated music following it, which is based on the Coquelicot Maria Saint-Fille, so his daughter Maria Coquelicot, which is from the Bourbonnais region in the central section of the piece. So both of these thematic elements return right at the end in what we call a little coda, which is kind of a little tail piece at the end of the movement. We must say that what we've really enjoyed the most about this piece is Canteloube writes beautifully for the instruments. The kind of idiomatic quality, and he finds is really fantastic. The range of the notes he finds for us, the sonority, he's got bang on. Actually, it's a lovely piece, and it's very sympathetic. So he's very good at drawing melody from each of the instruments and providing a nice drone bass. No. Underneath, but lovely piece. We're really enjoying it. So hope you enjoy the second movement, the Reverie. So, the second movement, Reverie. Now, on to the third movement. So, as with all great pieces, the third movement speeds things up a little. The closing rondo, à la française, takes its theme from from the southwestern region of Quercy, which is called le truquet, le lure. So old French terms referring to tapping a barrel of wine. There seems to be a lot of wine connotations here. Traditionally sung by young girls who form a circle by holding hands and one by one, at the end of each verse, leave the group until one person remains. Now, we're not going to do that today. We've tried, but it's a little tricky. And obviously, it's only Mel and I that can hold hands. So there we are. At the end, there's a lovely little 6/8 kind of lilty dance, which is from another song from Quercy, which is J'aime ben mon cotillon rouge. I love my red petticoat, which again, I'm not going to do, but there we are. So I hope you've enjoyed the Canteloube. It's like I said, we've really enjoyed playing it for you. It's a lovely piece of music, some lovely different styles for you to listen to. So I hope you've enjoyed. Right, there we are. Now, we're going to move on to a composer that I would almost guarantee that no one has ever heard of. Without justification, I might add. We're going to play a trio by a Swiss composer called Charles Huguenin. As I said, born in Switzerland, grew up in France as really, his dates, were 1870 to 1939. So really, turn of the century, if you wanted to be a musician. I'm not sure Switzerland, I hate if I've offended any Swiss people, but I think Switzerland may not have been the musical hub that Paris was. So Huguenin moved to Paris, became the master of music at the Chapel of the Oratoire de Louvre in Paris, which I'm told is quite a prestigious position. I hunted high and low for more information about Huguenin, very difficult to find. So that essentially is it. This trio is the first of two he's composed for this this combination. It's the reason we like it is it's got a lovely sort of quasi-Baroque feel to it. This combination of instruments really lack Baroque repertoire. Obviously, oboes were around with bassoons in Baroque times. Clarinets not so much, appeared towards the end. So finding a combination, a Baroque piece with this combination is very difficult. So this is a lovely kind of pastiche on that feeling. I'm going to have a small talk to you in between the second and third movements. There are 4 movements in the piece. The first is a lovely march, followed by a very slow Sicilienne. Now these are all dedicated to friends of his. The first is dedicated to his friend Viale. Again, I couldn't find anything out about him, so we welcome any comments. And the Sicilienne, the second movement, is to Monsieur Longhi. Again, comments welcome. So here we are, the first 2 movements of Charles Huguenin's trio. So, the first 2 minutes of the Charles Huguenin. Now, the third movement follows closely on from the second, in that it's a fairly timid minuet. As some of you may know with minuets, you always have a trio following minuet. So minuet followed by trio, and then you go back to the minuet again. And then the fourth movement is a petite gavotte, as it happens. Of course, dedicated to his friend Paul Vron, another inconspicuous Frenchman that we may never know anything about. He may well be an extremely popular and famous poet, for all I know. But again, we'd love to know. That information would be very kind. Very briefly, I will talk about our trio. We've been together a long time. We're usually part of a slightly larger ensemble, a wind quintet, which also involves a flute and a French horn. But during these crazy times, it was much easier for us to get together as a trio. Obviously, with Mel, we're already together, and then Rosie isn't far away. So we had very distanced rehearsals in our kitchen. Rosie was 3.5 miles away the other side, with the back door open, which at this time is, as you can imagine, a little chilly. But I have to say, it's been lovely to play again, coming here to St Mary's, which I wish you could see the church. It's a beautiful, beautiful church. We're very lucky to come and play some beautiful music here. It really does suit this combination of instruments. 2 more would also be very well suited. But thank you for tuning in today. It's lovely for us. This is the first concert Mel and I have done since March, so it's very special for us. It's been a very dark time in some places, and we very much appreciate the opportunity to come and play. It's been lovely. So the last piece we're going to play today is by the renowned Dutch composer Hugo de Groot, spelt G-R-O-O-T. My father-in-law, who is Dutch, will of course... Oh, we're doing the Huguenin. I'm so sorry, I got carried away. 2 minutes of Huguenin? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do those 2. And then we'll move on to the Hugo de Groot. Thanks very much. Now then, we can play the Hugo de Groot. This is, very briefly, as you've heard from us for long enough, this piece we first played, we were lucky enough to go on the Swan Hellenic cruise ships around South America. And they were very insistent at the time that we found music that was South American in nature, which is quite difficult. So we were lucky enough to find this little trio piece called Souvenir Sud-Américain by Hugo de Groot, who it's a great finisher for a concert. It's got a lovely sultry tango in the middle, with outerlaid by some ridiculously hard kind of dancey 6/8 sections. So thanks so much for having us. We've had a lovely time, a beautiful venue to play in, and we're very lucky to be back in the swing of playing. So I hope you've enjoyed.
Well, what a terrific afternoon's music. Absolutely charming and very varied, wonderfully played, and it sounds so right in this intimate venue. Absolutely gorgeous. I was quite moved by Jeremy's spiel about how difficult it's been for all musicians over the last few months, particularly for wind players, because when they blow in those things, it's a health risk and all the rest of it. They're fantastic, and this is why we're running the concerts, to raise funds and provide performing opportunities for all musicians, and we try and get as many people along as possible. So you know what's coming next. If you could donate via our PayPal facility, it'll help. About £20,000 to musicians over the last 6 months, and your support has made all that possible. Now, over the next few days, by coincidence, on Sunday, Tuesday and Wednesday, we have 3 piano recitals. The first 2 are by extraordinarily good classical pianist, Andrei Ilyushkin, a young Russian pianist, and then Katerina Groeva, who's a professor at the college. And on Wednesday, we're striking a new ground by having Gary Husband, who's a celebrated jazz pianist, coming playing here. Not had that before, but we need to widen our boundaries a bit. So thank you very much for your support. So as I say, the next concert's on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Thank you for being with us, and good afternoon.